Hey, howdy, folks. It is your boy, it's Satan here, doing a little, not director's commentary, but reviewing the tape, so to speak, certainly. This is kind of me trying to figure out what went wrong here, I guess you could say. Me, Satan, the devil, just to reiterate what's happening here. If you're a witness, I'm sure you've seen this drama before. They don't call them movies, which I've never quite understood. They call them dramas. And you've probably seen this drama. It's about a young man whose name I absolutely do not remember. Presumably the drama will inform us as to the name. But I try to seduce him into my world, my zone. Enter the S tier, so to speak. That's what I call the Satan zone. But I fail. This young boy returns to, I loathe to say his name, but Jehovah. Or, as we called him, his fun name, as he called it, back when I lived upstairs, so to speak, was Joey. That's what he had us call him, was Joey. It started with Jehovah, then it went to Jehovah. Then Hovey, which he just didn't like. I don't know. We would call him Hovey Wade. Which made sense. Heaven and hell both exist outside of time and perpetuity, so we've always had Roe v. Wade. We've always not had it as well. Sorry to you Americans out there. I don't know why I'm talking about this. This was supposed to be fun and lighthearted. And yeah, so now, this is the young man. This is the fresh-faced, made in a Jehovah's Witness factory young man whose name they might be saying, but truth be told, I have the volume a little low on the TV. And oh boy, now that I am seeing the progress bar there on the screen, I'm seeing that this is a feature film, folks. This is not just a drama. This is a feature film. This is a 90-minute plus drama. I was really hoping this was one of the short ones, to be honest, when I had this idea to review the tape. And right now, he was what looked like he might have been sweeping some cocaine off the counter there. If memory serves, it is not actually cocaine. That would have made my job, frankly, too easy. It would not have been worth my time. A lot of things aren't worth my time. That guy you just saw on the screen, Al Phillips, he was not worth my time, so to speak. That man was just born straight from the womb into my hands. Babies are born enemies of God, of course, so that no surprise there. But you know, some are more my folk than others. Yeah, some babies are born a little preachy, a little pious, you know what I mean? And they have that cry where it's like, oh, you know, I'm going to be a servant of God. You know, there's that kind of baby cry. I won't imitate it here. More, alright, sure, I'll give you a little bit. It's more like, wee. But then there's the Satan criers. There's the enemies of God, future S-tier ranked human being cry, which is more like, wee. You know, that more guttural thing. That's a Satan baby. So if you hear a baby cry like that, that's a Satan cry. And you can give them a little kiss on the forehead as they hop on the 420 train to Hadestown. Not the play, folks. I don't know what it's about. A lot of times, I'll assume I know something about a play based on the title, and it'll turn out it's about baseball or a horse. So I don't know what Hadestown is about. I really hope that it's not about my actual Hadestown, common grave of mankind, a.k.a. Hell, a.k.a. Sheol, a.k.a. Hades, or Hadestown. We didn't think to copyright it, didn't think we had to, but because we have not been getting residuals on the play Hadestown. So if they are utilizing, and I understand that I'm actually not paying that close attention to the film so far. Let's pay attention to what Dad's making there in the pot. It is not clear to me. He's got a wooden spoon, slowly, half-heartedly stirring some kind of porridge. Now, I believe they live in a Value City Furniture show home. I believe that is, if memory serves, because I was casing the joint, obviously. You know, I get a good little look at the houses if I'm going to move in and really trying to work my magic. I should talk about that. I should talk about the kind of stuff I do when I'm trying to get somebody out of Jehovah's Witnesses and into the world. Obviously, I can't just possess them unless they do drugs or something, which unfortunately this young man so far, to our knowledge, has not done. If you do drugs or yoga or play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game, you will open up your mind to certain things, up to and including demonic possession. It's sort of like a fish net that, can expand or retract. And when you do drugs, it expands the fishnet. And I'm talking about it as in like figurative term, but I mean that literally is what it is. The Watchtower has that absolutely right. You open up your mind to the demons because there is a literal barrier that keeps us out. Some of the, this is not body shame. First of all, because we don't have bodies, as it were, but we have. But there are still fat demons, I'll be honest with you folks. Some of us are skinny, some of us have a little bit more of what God gave us, and then we died and turned into ghosts, and then we have demon bodies. So yeah, if you don't take enough drugs, some of the larger folks in our community can't even get into your mind. So if you are a guy with a real tight head fishnet, you could do a fair amount of cocaine before we can even knock on the door, so to speak. Now this is Al. Bad News Al. The stage production, which I loved and preferred, was called Bad News Al. And I don't really know why they changed that for the filmed version. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Jehovah's Witnesses used to put on live productions, although they would lip sync it to audio that was provided by Watchtower. This part is not improvisational bit. This is actually true. And then they already had so much control over how everything looked and sounded that I guess they just realized, hey, what we could do is just not bother trusting people anymore and just make it all here.
Excellent communicator, quick learner, can do kind of guy. Got it.
It was easy enough to seduce him to the world because he had that hair right out of the womb. It was like a single cute cartoon baby hair, but it was coiffed like that. Kind of, what would you call that? I think they call that the hard ducky. Sort of the ducky from Pretty in Pink, but I don't think you could run your hand through what Al's got going there. I think it would kind of clink up against it. This guy, however, I think it looks like you could run your hand through his hair, but he's got some product in there. He's got some pomade that is, low sheen, low hold. That's what I think. This is the kind of thing that I, Satan the devil, pay attention to when I'm watch something. This guy would look better if he didn't have to look like a shiny baby bitch boy. And I know Alt World is kind enough to have me on his channel, and I know he didn't want me to curse, but he literally did invite the devil. I might let loose a bee bomb or two. Now Anderson Cooper here is calling security, I guess, on the young man to get him kicked out for being a Jehovah's Witness. I think that's what happened. I wasn't paying that close attention. No, he does not have the defeated look of somebody who was just fired, but okay, I'm going to start paying attention to the film. Is this kid like 19 or 35 and a virgin? I guess he can be. So Watchtower has this weird thing where if you're going to have a romantic scene in a drama with somebody, you have to be married to them. And because there's implied romance between him and this co-worker, and I don't know why I'm talking about this as if it's fake, because it's real, and that's literally the entire premise of what I'm doing. But this is the documentary version. See, and this is where I clarify everything. I should have said this right up top. There was a stage production, of course, but it's just it's a generic scenario that happens all the time. So this is a documentary. This is more or less a found footage film, like Paranormal Activity, and I really wanted to do it. Is it possible that I just wanted to do this, but with Paranormal Activity, and then thought, all right, well, if I'm going to upload it to the channel, it should probably be something JW related. That's possible. But anyway, so what we're watching here is kind of a found footage film, kind of a documentary. Because this sort of thing, as Watchtower tell you, and they are correct. They have the truth. I just try to trick you. Forget I said the last part, right? Yeah, this sort of thing happens all the time. It is often the case that a young man with no college experience gets a high-level job at a very nice business where everyone wears suits and ties, and then is immediately given promotions to where he would have to work so much overtime that he would not be allowed to attend church. And then at the slightest bit of pressure, they are dragged into my hands, who's got 8 thumbs and loves to seduce 19-year-old boys out into the world. Me, not in a weird way, Jesus Christ.
Excuse me.
I hate it when I say his name like that. He's made that such a aphorism that I catch myself saying it sometimes. This is my world. The whole world's in the palm of my GD hands.
Very good. Al, why don't you take David, show him around,
Now,
and take him down to HR to make
I don't know if this makes sense, but even though not everybody in all these dramas is Canadian, their acting is Canadian. I don't know if that makes sense. There's something about Jehovah's Witness propaganda video acting that is Canadian. And this isn't even acting, because this is, like I said, a documentary. And you can tell because of this handheld camera that's happening here. I think it's supposed to be on a dolly, but boy, it is moving. You can really see this thing moving around. And hey, that is that guy who later I killed like his kid and his dad or something. And they captured that in a later documentary. And boy, I almost had his ass too. He was an elder. I think he stepped down because he yelled one time or something. Or I guess maybe he was just too sad, which is a good enough reason. But man, I was really hoping killing half his family would cause him to give up the truth. And it did not. In fact, being a Jehovah's Witness for longer appears to have made him hotter, because he was looking a little bit like a dweeb earlier. And he's, I think, looking like a snack in that one documentary they put out, where once again I killed by half his family in a car crash. It's traumatic, and they forced a convention full of families to watch. Against their will. They have no choice. If you are a parent who's a Jehovah's Witness, you have to make your kid watch that traumatic scene where children and a nice, kindly old man die in a car crash. And then you have to watch like a marriage fall apart and a man slowly lose his mind.
And this is...
let me guess, David.
Hey, all right. I think she's in the Remember the Wife a Lot documentary. I think. She looks like one of the daughters that goes to work in a science laboratory. Once again, with absolutely no school experience, because you don't need that to get incredible jobs in what is either Canada or the United States.
At the shore, I see.
Yeah.
How'd things work out?
Now, if you are wondering with me, and this is me, Satan, talking, this is not the other guy talking. If you want to know what my type is, it is that nice young lady that just walked in there. That fine, gentle lady. And boy, the more I try to make it sound courteous, the more creepy it sounds. I was trying to be polite, but I think there's something about being Satan where, like, if you try to sound nice, it's almost scarier.
A great team. Stalker and professional flirt.
I tell you what, these guys, even though I think they're all married in real life, have negative chemistry. I feel every sexual desire that I have diminishing like a puddle in the blazing hot European sun.
Job on the spot. I didn't expect to be...
Seriously, I don't know how. I still think they're all virgins. Even though it's implied that they have sexual relations in this documentary, and they are married, IRL.
For which I have no experience. And
Now, I know you don't have to be. I mean, they're acting. These are actors first and foremost. I think above all else, these are people who love the craft of acting. And Jawbone over there, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have cast him because his face is weird. Although I think it should something they might have taken into consideration. I think what they should have done is thought, this person looks in absolutely no way related to that boy it looks like he came from like an opposing family,
But there are other brothers.
like in Shakespeare times, like Capulets and Montagues, or Romulan. What is it? Capricorns and Romulans.
Well, I may have to put that on hold. But it should.
Would it surprise you to learn that I don't read a lot of books? I mean, I'm literally saying I can do so many crazy things.
With Mom and Dad,
To stop and read a book,
it'll have very little impact.
you know,
Here's your routine.
this is something I hear while I'm, correcting the record and stuff. Witnesses like to say, oh, even demons know the Word of God. Even they know the Bible. No. We're not going to stop and read the Bible. That, in it, frankly, I'll bet it's got a lot of, like, secrets in there that I should know about. It probably has all sorts of things. It's like the secret destruction codes for me. I hear people talk about Armageddon. I have no idea what they're talking about. I hear witnesses talk about it all the time. I plug my big long ears when I hear that stuff. Freaky. Sounds like book learning to me. So I don't know about any of that. But boy, this house is gigantic and nice and really not a particularly realistic depiction of the kind of living wage that a modern family can produce a house with. Did that sentence structure make any sense? Why do I care? I'm the devil. I invented, get this is the kind of deep 8D chess kind of crap that I do. I invented grammar. And I invented grammar Nazis. Isn't that amazing? I invented the annoying thing you have to abide by. And then I invented the people who criticize you for not abiding by the thing that is hard to abide by. It's fantastic.
That's right. I'll give him a call.
This guy is a moper. Here's the thing. You might think, this guy is objectively annoying. Isn't he exactly the kind of guy you want in the world? Absolutely not. No. We want cool people. I mean, there's a reason why most of the really cool people don't stay in the Jehovah's Witnesses. Because the cool people are like, F this S, not S tier. I hate that. I hate the S word, and I'm not even going to dignify it. The only S word should be Satan. I've said this from day one. And guess what God invented on day 2? The S word. Not nice. I mean, to be fair, he did create beings that consumed food. On day 2, they are bloated. He had to invent Imodium. Well, he had to invent that later. First, he had to invent X-Lax. And then he had to invent the butthole. Now, it was insane to me that he invented X-Lax before he invented the butthole. It made them... These guys were rolling around like monkey balls. It was unbelievable. I wish y'all could have seen it. I wish that on day 1 he'd invented a GD camera. That'd be nice, don't you think? If he could just beam down. He does beam down from time to time, by the way. I've seen him do this. I know what God looks like, by the way. Ooh, I'll say that for a teaser. Yeah, I lost track of what I was saying. Probably wasn't very important. I probably wasn't building up to a big joke and then forgot.
More splinters. No more bruised thumbs. No more older brothers.
Now, here's the thing about Jehovah's Witnesses, is that, every aspect of these productions is filmed, written, and acted by Jehovah's Witnesses. And yet, it is still always somehow an unrealistic depiction of the religion that they are all from.
My guess would be not.
What?
They definitely got the awkwardness, the awkwardness of the meeting. But I don't think they captured the specific awkwardness. I guess that would take self-awareness. Now, I was meant to be criticizing myself. Okay, alright. First of all, this man's undershirts are too big. Too big. I think if I really wanted to get them, I would try and plant... I don't know how I would even do this. I guess just through social pressure. That's kind of hard to generate, actually, because people have independent thoughts. I hate that free will shit. People have independent thought, and then they can, more or less make their own decision. I can plant an idea. They might stomp on it. They might say, hey, that's a terrible idea, like Quibi. I thought that was going to be great. I didn't want to do that for nefarious purposes, but they just... I just thought it'd be great. People said no. So anyway, how am I going to subliminally get this guy to wear tighter shirts? Because I think that's what I need him to do. He's so unfashionable that he strikes me as a man who does not care how he looks. because he does not see himself as a sexual being and a viable sexual candidate, because, of course, he is technically, by the laws of Jehovah's Witnesses, he is not. I think what I would try to plant in this man's mind is that he is a sexual being with desires and a body he should not be ashamed of. And he may be, like, just as a tiny little act of rebellion, he'd wear, like, tighter shirts, so that when he'd take his shirt off, he'd, like, look in the mirror and think, hey, you know what? I look okay. I would have sex with me. This is what I'm describing this guy. That's what's going on with him. I'm not talking about anybody else, by the way. But he might try and, wear clothes around the house that he's real proud of, thought made him look good. So this dorky suit he's wearing. Good Lord.
And we need to shine on this one.
Has a Jehovah's Witness ever been to a tailor that was not a Jehovah's Witness already? Because I would assume a tailor would be like, all right, you want this suit to fit your body in a flattering way, right? But I think what happens with Jehovah's Witnesses is they say, no, I need to look like a box. I need to look like I am drowning in my clothes. Oh, I think that was the end. It just faded out. Oh, okay. Yeah, I would have been okay if it ended there, actually, not just for time reasons, but just because, that guy, he's happy at his job. He's, got a little cutie at the workplace. I think I've planted enough seeds. That might take care of itself. But, freaking Joey's going to get meddling in the thing. Hovey. I'm going to try and not call him that, because I didn't necessarily love the joke I made about Hovey earlier. I don't even know why I'm bringing it up now. You probably forgot about it already. Now, see this. Look at this guy with he's got kind of the tight sweatshirt, but I'd like to see him in a V-neck. I'd like to see him in something a little more flirty. Flirting with himself even, just sort of like, hey, I like how I look. He's got a little curl here. I think this guy could be a lot happier in Satan's world. I really wish I would have got him. Now, here's another thing. Is that everybody in this workplace is wearing full suits and ties and Jehovah's Witness certified clothes at all times. They're just sitting around in chairs in full meeting clothes. Oh, I guess they're doing family worship. Oh boy, what a drag. You don't have to do that when you leave, by the way. You don't have to do that anymore. This is the message to my apostate brethren out there. Some apostates still have family worship. And they call me up, they dial star 666, call me, and they say, man, I just don't know what to do this week. I've ran out of popsicle sticks, can't build any more arcs. I've, ran out of spirit gum, so my beer doesn't stick anymore. We tried to use peanut butter, and then it just made me hungry. And that peanut butter thing happens way more than you think. And I have to tell them that you do not have to do family worship anymore. You can just be watching TV. And they're like, oh, right, JW Broadcast, forgot about that. And I'm like, no. Hulu. Netflix. Maybe not Netflix. They're doing stuff I don't necessarily like these days. I borrow my friend's password. I know we're all saying that we're canceling Netflix, but we're all just borrowing somebody else's password. Right, like I think a lot of us still have Netflix, folks. I think we make a lot of grand gestures, but I think deep down a lot of us do still have Netflix. And I don't think that I'm projecting. Oh, this is a good real moment that happened in this documentary. These brothers, these clear blood relatives absolutely have chemistry and act like family. Have a very emotional confrontation. Ooh, I was happy with this. You can always count on a witness to be snobby and standoffish about very petty grievances. So I knew he's going to yell at him. Okay, guess where I am in the room right now. This will be a fun game. I'll bet you think you know. Okay, I'll give you 5 seconds. No, it's dead air. I don't want to do that. Okay, I'll bet you're thinking, it's that grill. Okay, let's see if they cut back. Yeah, you're thinking it's the grill. And I thought about the grill. Believe me, I thought about the grill. Guess why I didn't do the grill? Fire. Now you're thinking, oh, but you're impervious to fire. No. Oh, don't I know it? I love it so much, I knew I would not be able to resist the temptation to turn that grill on and just have a little roast. Maybe an actual roast. That's the thing. I would have given myself away. and then we would have a paranormal activity situation. Nope. I am hiding. You are seeing it now in the pencil. I was in that pencil he was tapping. Blink and you miss it. So now I'm just sitting on the table. Being Slender. Slender Man! That's his real origin, by the way. One of my guys got stuck in a pencil. We love being pencils. Because you get to be creative a lot of times. You get to like, ooh, I'll possess an artist's pencil. And I'll just get to experience being close to art in the creative process. You know, we don't get to create, us demons, like God and humans. Oh, man. See, we, possess pencils and stuff. But then, get this, one of our guys, he got stuck in there. I think he ate a little bit too much roast when he was in the pencil form. Kind of got stuck in his Spanx, if you know what I mean. But we couldn't spiritually, cut a slit in his Spanx so he could expand his gas the fat out. I don't know why weight has become such a part of this commentary. I feel very bad. I don't necessarily love it. But anyway, he was able to make himself get taller, but he was still skinny as a pencil, Slender Man. That's how it came about. Now you have the inside scoop. I think I might have... No, that wouldn't have been good. I was thinking I should have started making something fall off the shelf or fly around the room. The very realistic room. If you've ever been in a workshop, it is clean. There is not a speck of dirt anywhere. The tools are all new.
Right to the bone, because Al, unlike you,
Fresh coat of paint on that thing, and windows. Nice, clean windows. The windows of the shed are the cleanest windows you will ever see.
started bad-mouthing
People like me?
Yeah, boring, uptight, self-righteous. I could go on.
Well, I'm struck.
This is peak Canadian yelling. You cannot tell me that these are not human blood-related brothers who love each other deeply.
It's right in God's eyes. I wanted the same thing for you.
Oh, man. Here's the thing about being witch. You gotta be cringe. Do you want to yell that at a person? I want to do what's right in God's eyes? Ew. Cringe. That's an L. Plus ratio. I've always wanted to ratio the weird jaw guy from Prodigal.
I can't stop you.
That was a Keffel's impression. Is that how you pronounce that? I've only ever seen it in writing.
Jehovah's not going to stop you.
Now, what was he doing there? Were you making sure that the power cord was intact?
You sink deeper into this world's mess.
Now, that might seem silly, but that is just good craftsmanship. That's the sort of hard work, behind-the-scenes, inside baseball stuff that you only get from a real construction worker. This man he knows exactly what he's doing. They cut away because it looks good when he does it. It looks too good. And they thought, oh, no, we're going to turn people on if we show this guy on camera. It's not that it looks so silly when he tries to use the tool that they have to cut away. Oh, he unplugged the little hose. All right. And they established that he knew about it earlier when he needlessly touched it. So that's good. I love these organized buckets with tool belts from Bob the Builder. I love that. Very real tool belts that real people use. Yeah, that's good. They discovered the fade transition in their video editor. That screenshot. Now, is that nostalgic or what? Not one of the better screenshots. Which, now his computer's on. It was screensaver a second ago. Now it's on. Maybe just the very fact of the email made the screen say, "Hey, man, you got to see this." This is Taylor Reynolds and David Barton. So this is David. Oh boy, now there's a bit of biblical parallels there because he's like a young David who was not as attractive as you'd think. And, David was tempted. So much that he had sex with another man's wife and then murdered the husband. That's how tempted he was. He did it. He went full tempt.
Run like crazy to get it done.
On time.
He only knows how to do temptation one way, and that's full tilt.
And if not, Mike gives us another speech.
He seems like a nice enough guy, though.
Oh, he can be. As long as corporate headquarters is happy. Mike is a company man first, nice guy second.
I see. Everything okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Just a persistent ex-boyfriend. Sorry.
Let me guess. The guy you were talking about when we first met?
I have a good memory. Yes, another tragic.
There's a red flower on the table. I put that there. Of course, it'd be very weird to have just a single red rose in a vase with no water in it on a table in a coffee shop. But I said, and for it to look so fake and bad, like it was just picked out of a bucket out of Joanne Fabrics. I said no. That's going to be an aphrodisiac for these two. Another word I've only ever really seen in writing. So, not sure if I said that right. But, oh man, I love that, like, hair clip that she has as a bracelet. I said that like it was mean, but I mean it. I think it looks nice on her. I think she wears it well. I actually don't mind. Oh man, here's what I think what's happening when I look at this guy and his whole deal. Is he looks so much like this guy I know when he was this guy's age. And it is almost triggering to look at somebody who looks so much like he was, at least in his memory. I will redact the name. Now, they are just having a nice little time. And, of course, I know as the creator of gross sexual practices everywhere that all you need is about 2 sips of coffee with a worldly person, and you are going to Pound Town. About to put each other up on pinball machines. And this relationship moves a little slower than I usually anticipate. Usually, you get a witness to go on one coffee date with a coworker, and they are literally under the table having... Well, I don't even want to say it. And frankly, those are good. Those are really good. Kind of a twofer, because then law enforcement gets involved, obviously, because there is public indecency and exposure. So, because obviously they're doing it in the middle of a coffee shop under a very small table. Oh, man, look, and he's drinking a beer. Something a witness would never do. They'd never take a picture of themselves drinking a beer.
We had coffee, that's all.
What are we supposed to think about this guy? Here's what I don't like about Al Phillips. Other than just his entire vibe and energy, is that I feel like they're using him as like a representative for my side. And that's, and this is why I need to stop trusting Jeff. He's one of the other, I mean, there's like just about a billion of us, but... He's one of my good guys down here, Jeff, and he's funny, and he's got a lot of good ideas, but sometimes he's like, hey, you know who we got to send in to run point on this conversion is Al Phillips. And I'm like, that weird dweeby punk who looks and acts exactly like Jake when he was a Jehovah's Witness. And he's like, no, that's the main guy. That's David. And then, Jeff is like, no, he definitely was more like the annoying, cocky guy with swoopy hair. And then I'm like screaming, like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. And then I, sentence him to heaven for 2 days, which is the punishment. Because hell's nice. That's what they didn't say. Hell's really fun. Heaven's very boring. It's like safe. You're not going to die or get hurt or anything. That's boring. You might stub your toe or get, something sliced up or get tortured for a couple millennia in hell. But a lot of it's pretty fun. And I just feel like this guy's not real. I trusted Jeff on this one. And I feel like Al is not a particularly convincing advocate for Satan worship. Which I don't even demand worship of most people that I convert. But I just want them to dip their toes in a little bit, and I don't even know. I kind of wonder if Al Phillips is a virgin too, to be quite honest with you. I hate to say it. I hate to think that my boy Jeff would have sent a virgin in to do this job.
Fantastic. Let me just call Anton.
When your hair is that shiny and you're so clean shaven, it's just hard to tell what kind of history you're looking at. No. That look that he just gave him was a little bit of, I'm trying to look cool, but I don't actually know what it is to be cool, because my definition of coolness is assigned by weird old people in New York. Yeah, no, I think we sent in a virgin to do a sex average job. Nothing wrong with being a virgin. It's just if I want to drag you into Satan's world, I'm probably going to use some kind of sexiness. I'll be honest with you. I like to throw it in there, even if it's not the main thing. Even if it's like cigarettes, that's pretty rare, to be honest. Not a lot of people are starting cigarette smoking as an adult Jehovah's Witness. What's another thing that gets touched for? Oh, yeah, looking at gay porn. Straight porn's fine, apparently. Love that. Love that they did that. Do you want to lie during your judicial committee, or do you want to be honest, but stay reinstated and feel like you should have been disfellowshipped? Oh, no. Yeah, I forget why I was talking about that. Let's go to Pete's Tavern. A lot of times, you'll see this. A lot of times, I start talking about gay porn and just get real distracted. Hey, now, okay, so this was confusing for some, but it's a documentary, so you don't get to pick who's in it. That guy they're talking to, who's in the True Love video, he also has a weird face shape. It was not David's brother. That's actually a different actor with the exact same weird face shape. I'm allowed to be mean. I'm Satan.
Hello, son.
Oh, that's good. Now, okay. This is, pretty easy for me because it's dark. But then you get to say, look what he did. He turned on the light. So where do you think I'm hiding in this room? I like this game. This is probably my favorite game. I make people play it all the time. You think stuff will get old after literal eternity, but no, this game's... I've done this since about day 5 of my existence, and it is fun literally every single time. Even when they get it right. Alright, I'll bet you didn't. I'll bet you don't know. Now, you might be thinking piano, and that's never a bad idea. Lots of room, and you can play literally anything, and it will sound scary, because it's unexpected. An unexpected piano is very scary. What you'd never see in a horror movie is an unexpected guitar, an unexpected kazoo. That, for some reason, we all recognize the piano is very beautiful, and also innately very scary. I think a random guitar might just be kind of nice. Or you might yell at your neighbor to shut up for a second. This dad's real lame. This was, I thought, a big plus going into the battle, because I thought, well, this dad's a real drip. This guy's a schlub. He's a nobody. He's a loser. He's actually really nice. No, you know what? I'm looking at him a little closer, and I'm not convinced that he's nice. I think he might be mean. I think he might be one of those guys that kind of acts nice, but might be secretly mean. That's most witnesses, to be honest.
I can give you a small raise.
Anybody that has a tiger print pillow, one tiger print pillow in the middle of their couch, which has 0 other animal prints on it, I think is at the very least a psychopath.
I like this job.
Which doesn't mean he's evil. But it's not helping anything. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not the determining factor. But when you see the two side by side, you're like, no, all right.
Then something happened. Gradually.
All right. Okay, so it's not the piano. I should have said that. It's the pillow on his lap. That's where I'm hiding. Not for the reasons you think. I just really didn't want to be anywhere near that tiger print pillow, and that was the only... I wanted a nap, to be honest. I thought, well, the conversation with the dad is going to be not good at all. Pretty much 0 way that you walk away from a conversation with the dad feeling real good about yourself. You know what I mean? Like, even if he's nice about it, you're going to be like, well, I didn't exactly tell him everything.
We need to pay attention, because any one of us...
Or you did and he's weird about it. Or, I don't know, you do talk about it and he's nice, and then you're like, what? Wait, I guess that means now I got to stop masturbating. I don't want to do that. Wait, why'd I tell him that? I think I'm just going to keep doing it. I apologize. We'll see what happens. Again, not talking about me. This is just a common experience a lot of people have. Big Bible. Real big Bible. I didn't like having that book on me. Just because it was a book. If he had an anvil on me, that would have been fine. First of all, because I'm a spirit creature. Which, we should get into that a little bit, probably. Obviously, shape-shifting, sort of. But it's mostly like shape malleability. Let's see. I'll describe this. You ever seen the movie Flubber? It's not a perfect analogy, but demons are literally exactly like Flubber in every way. We're green, we're goopy, we're bouncy, and we like to dance to samba music.
I feel like I'm constantly being questioned.
And that's just all true about demons. And so, yeah, if you're a witness listening to this, and I hope you are, rare insight into the mind of Satan and my weaknesses.
Is the internet in the living room? Even when you don't
I think you should just know that samba music is kind of my thing. Literally our favorite thing to dance to. I make him play the Where Am I Hiding game and samba music. Ooh, see now, well, that light turning on, that was some scary crap, actually. That was a little bit of that paranormal activity. They're just having a pleasant conversation. All of a sudden, light turns on the background, shadowy figure emerges, and it's some horrific, it's just his mom.
Bad thing.
Honey,
You can make your mom jokes when you're literally the devil. This house has never been owned by a nice family. I don't know how to say that, but any person who lived in a house that looked like this was a little weird and mean. I think your house has to be a little dirty. It can't be so together. It can't be so... I mean, I just want to see like a newspaper lying around even. But anybody whose house looks like this has a body on the property somewhere. It might not be in the house, but it in the yard. It's buried down there in a weird meat locker under a toolbox or something. In a secret refrigerator behind the real refrigerator. And you have to pull an old soda can out of the back of it to activate the secret door. These are all things I'm trying to get patented.
right. I'll take care of it. When I'm ready.
when you're ready, David.
This is more of a win. You know, it's tough when the mom comes out too, because then you feel bad. Because, you know, it's just like, you know, she gave birth to you and stuff. And, oh, man, my cat Beelzebub is being real bad. Hey, Bo.
I'm going to need to tap into the savings account you set up for me.
He is chewing at my trash bags that are full of clothes. I take them out of the Goodwill basket, and I just lay them on my carpet and use them as bean bags during orgies. That's what I do. It's not that I love orgies so much, or beanbags for that matter, or trash. I just don't like the Goodwill. I think there's something going on there. You gotta put the word good in your name. It's probably because you're doing something a little bad.
Spending the night these days.
You mean Anton is not in the...
Now what? Describe the brother's hairline in 10 words or less. I don't think you can do it. I think that's a challenge you would fail. Take a close look. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of questions I have.
Another late night at the office, huh? You know, it's so ironic that the talking card for today...
This is where I regretted being in the pillow, because now I feel kind of like I'm just laying on the chair. I'm kind of behind the action. I'm glad that the documentary crew filmed this, actually, because I can watch tape back now. Oh, man, the piano. They have so many songbooks. How many? There's only 4 people in the house. They got like 8 songbooks. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
My own place with people that I approve of.
One less than Rain Man. I know that. I did not quite get the count right, but I was one off.
You know what? Just let him go! He deserves whatever...
Oh my God, there's yelling. This is how you know that a family is in crisis, is when there's yelling. Whenever you see a good family, and you see this in their dramatizations, they're very calm all the time. When there's calmness, it's never a front for deep, seething anger. That's what's nice. When people are just quiet about their rage, it doesn't go anywhere else or hurt anyone. So I hate the Watchtower has figured out one of my secret weaknesses. Boy, this guy looks like Steve from Blue's Clues with that sweatshirt on, I gotta say. Some people say I look like that. Me, Satan. Biblically accurate Satan. I didn't say that. When I showed up on the Alt-Worldly YouTube channel, I looked like glasses wearing... I looked like every guy in this drama, but with glasses and a southern accent. That comes and goes, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, no, I'm biblically accurate. So I'm told. I've seen passages go around on Twitter. To be honest, there's not like a book of Satan. If there was, I would have read that one. But all of them are named after these guys that I know, and they're not even that great. She was also in the True Love documentary. This girl can't catch a break. She's here drinking beer. Then she gets her life together, becomes a witness. She marries this schlub. Absolute nightmare. Everybody kind of has a long face. I don't mean that about, hey, now look, a dirty house. You know that a murderer doesn't live here.
She's hot, isn't she?
Well, let me put it this way. You don't know for a fact that a murderer does live here. Now, they might still be a murderer who's just a little messy. But it has that clean. I mean, just literally factually, that person has committed violent crimes and is hiding it.
Your bedroom. You like?
Ta-da! And he points to tiny, crappy barracks with nothing in it. I hate Jeff for sending this guy in. This is a terrible sales pitch. They work at what looks like a Fortune 500 company. And he is living on a bare mattress in a rat's storage unit.
I still can't believe it's 100.
I loved this cafeteria. I liked that it was hard to tell where you even were. Like, is this a teacher's lounge? Is this a cafeteria? Is this their house and they have friends over? And I think it's a break room, but it is massive, this break room.
I put the final nail in that coffin a long time ago.
There's a window into the break room. I don't like that at all. That seems counter to the very necessities of a break room, which is to do satanic, crazy stuff you don't want people seeing in public.
Okay, what are you really up to?
Oh, man. The hair off to the side is very worldly. That's how you know.
About 70, to be precise.
Well, count me in.
Did you say next weekend?
I am kind of glad that she ends up being a Jehovah's Witness. Because she ends up marrying this guy in real life. I'm trying to keep continuity in my head. But, you know, I think she was kind of boring, to be honest with you. There's just not a lot going on with her. It's kind of tough to see what that guy sees in her, because it's almost like whoever wrote this doesn't see women as people. They see them as cautionary plot devices and objects of lust, so they can't really imbue them with interiority or personhood. Oh man, I almost completed an articulate sentence. I think one of the paintings behind them is of a man peeing. Let's take a look at the man's right shoulder. Yeah, there's a guy leaning up against the wall. You can't quite see it. I think he's taking a pee. Oh, man, I wish he'd move those shoulders of his. Hunch down. Taking a pee. I think he's taking a pee. And you better believe I love that they put that in that break room. Or hospital waiting room. Wherever they are. I thought just the general grossness of having a painting of a man peeing on a wall would add to the general worldliness of the affair, but actually this feels quite sterile and not hot and enticing. That's kind of another problem, is this is all very boring and corporate and sterile, so it's pretty much exactly like a Kingdom Hall. What I should have made this is like anything cool or interesting or artful or enticing. Like, I should have made it a place that a person would want to be. Whereas the Kingdom Hall seems specifically designed to be a place where nobody would ever choose to be. Unless they were, like, brainwashed or something. That's my word. I like that word. I know some people are mixed about it.
Theirs, but we don't because they have pagan origins. And
if you're going to wear a sweater with that high of a V, don't bother wearing a tie. Don't bother wearing a tie. It's covering up the whole thing. You wear the tie so people can see the design. If you're going to cover up the entire design, I hate this. I hate the sweater. I should have known right then and there. A man who's wearing this kind of sweater would not be able to cut it out on the streets of S-Town. I don't mean S-Town the podcast, and I don't mean S-Town the S word. I mean Satan Town, which is not Hades Town, unless I don't know what that place is about. Oh, I'm way far away from the mic. Oh, that's going to be... If the audio got bad, it's because I was not paying attention to my face placement. That's kind of an unfortunate thing about being a demon. Is you'd think there'd be some, like, crazy spiritistic way I could, like, beam a recording of myself onto Audacity And I could do it, like, outside of space and time because I'm, like, a spiritual entity. But no, I mean, if you've seen any scary movies, we have to communicate through, like, a baby's, like, walkie-talkie. Or, like, an old truck radio. Submarine blips. You know, like, very analog technology. So, no, like, unfortunately, I'm using a Yeti mic, just kind of a standard issue mic. It's pretty good. You might be picking up some commentary in the background from someone on the phone, too. On the hell phone.
While you were at
They
it.
wanted to know. What was I...
Now he's getting yelled. Oh, see, Jeff. Jeff, you've messed up with Al. This is a huge problem. We have not successfully dragged this man out of Satan. Out of Jehovah's true organization yet. See, you gotta... This is our mantra. It's absolutely what we do. We entice people, and then we chew them up and spit them out. I have them say this at the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. To the American flag. I very staunchly do agree that we should pledge allegiance to the American flag every morning. Which I do because it's annoying and weird. That's what a lot of the stuff is in hell, to be honest. A lot of it is not so much torture as it is like, man, why do we have to do this? Seems like such a waste of time. Oh, I love that feeling. If I can instill that feeling in my subjects, I've succeeded. And this is the exact opposite kind of enticement. This is a very boring room where an annoying little guy is yelling at my potential convert. He needs to keep his cool. He should have invited young David to a strip club or the roof of a house which overlooked some lady taking a bath. Historically, that is what Davids have been enticed by. Oh, yeah. This was filmed by somebody who has been to one party in his entire life, for sure. He knows what parties are like. Now, this is also interesting. So, this is just like this looks like my apartment right now, to be quite honest with you. It's not that different from the apartment where I live. But I feel like they're trying to imply by the very nice house that the Witness family lives in, and the kind of normal, low-income apartment that these people live in, I feel like they're trying to imply like a downgrade in his life. Like, oh, look at their dirty lifestyle. And I feel like it's almost a bit of classism. Like, look at how pristine and traditionally American middle class this house is. I feel like they're trying to say something. I feel like it's kind of not great. And I'm not even going to make you guess. You better believe I'm in that pillow again. Do I love that the book is on me? No. Because all these people ever reads the Bible, apparently. I didn't see a single other book in their house, but I've seen about 8 songbooks. 7, sorry. And about 1,000 Bibles.
His behavior lately, that outburst.
I hope you haven't wanted to hear a single word anybody has said, because I've been talking, I believe, for about 52 minutes straight.
Maybe James is right about Al.
Maybe James is right
Whether he
about
is or isn't.
Al. David's an adult now. That was obviously a perfect impression, because one of my many talents is flawless mimicry. Oh my god. And then she had the nerve to read, on me, Satan. Oh my god. I hated hearing her listen. I'm trying to stuff my ears, which you think would be easy with all the stuffing in the pillow, but it's like, with my flubber body, it's sort of like you don't have ears. You just hear things, That was kind of nice about the human designers. He's like, we biblically accurate angels. It's hard to figure out how we do anything. It's not like, oh, I heard something with this part of my body, and I see something with it. It's just like, no, you just are always seeing everything around you. You're hearing everything kind of perfectly. You're always, like when you have intercourse, you feel it everywhere. It's really nice being an angel. I really wish I hadn't messed up that gig, to be quite honest. Being a demon's really not as good. And I hate to admit it. I mean, it's not, heaven is boring. That part, I'm being absolutely honest about that. But it's just not, the angel body is pretty nice. It's weird. It is weird. They have so many eyes. But yeah, they just get to have full body orgasms basically whenever they want. But that does weirdly get boring. It turns out if you just only do one thing all the time, it does get boring. Oh man, look at this place. And there's a Christmas tree, so you know it was a really bad thing, because it was a holiday party on top of everything else. This would have been bad enough for a witness if it had just been a drunken revelry. But they're like, no. Also, pagan holiday. And now he's sick and throwing up. They did it on a work night. Well, I mean, he is a rookie, but I wouldn't have had him go get absolutely blotto on a work night. I would have saved that for like month 3 of being out of the congregation. Yeah, they can chalk that up to a personal failing. That's always nice. When people can blame themselves instead of blaming me, I love that. But then again, I also love when people only blame me. Because then it's sort of like they ignore all the weird systemic issues that I created. So that's kind of nice. I like it when people only blame me and are like, therefore, we don't have to do anything. Because Satan rules everything. Oh man, he's yelling. The boss is so mad. Turns out work is hard. This, if any... Okay. I'm sorry. You know, I've stalked a lot of workplaces. A lot of bad Satan stuff happens at work. Most of it in upper management, to be honest with you. But anyway, you know, I have noticed that anytime... If one person yells one time, they are immediately in trouble. That you cannot just start yelling at people at work. They really do not. The very notion of raising your voice would be shocking to me. If that happened, it would be both their last days of work. Even if they were completely correct. You can't just be yelling at people. Oh, well, maybe they should have made the Kingdom Hall list gray. I slipped in those designs, though. I mean, that was a little bit of me. And I have to admit, I was a little nervous when they built that Kingdom Hall, because I thought, oh, that actually looks kind of cool. Maybe they'll start building buildings that don't look like absolute trash. And thankfully, they only built that one cool one and then went right back to garbage. Oh no, they kissed and then danced into the room. If they're having sex, that means that it would not affect him in any way, shape, or form. Oh, he clicked yes on the porn. Oh no, is what a witness would be saying. You know, I'm excited because I invented it. It was my idea. I saw, you know, I invented it in heaven, by the way. I invented it way before I got cast out of heaven. Way before, like, the flood and all that. I mean, frankly, like, about 5 seconds after we invented it, everyone's having full-body all-day orgasms. And I'm like, we gotta start filming this. So we absolutely did that, and it was nice to have cameras in heaven, by the way. Yeah, this way before... Oh, man. Alright, I'll stop talking about my heaven orgies. This is so ridiculous, I have to say. Not the scenario, just the fact that you willingly watch an old movie of your son reading the Bible. I don't know. That seems like something you would very purposely avoid at all costs. Best case scenario, you watch someone read the Bible. That doesn't sound like a win to me. Now where am I in that room? Yep, you guessed it. I am not allowed in the elders' room. That's what it says in the big contract that I signed with God. It's not really a contract. It's sort of like, you know, agreeing, are we playing house rules of Monopoly? Like, are we playing free parking and all that? One of the things is, like, I gotta be able to do, like, whatever in the elders' room. They just gotta be able to do whatever. So I was like, okay, those guys are usually very weird and boring, and I don't like hanging out with them anyway. So that's fine. They usually find me, quite honest with you. The mirror above the computer screen, where you would never see it, that seems insane. You would just be looking at the top of your head all day. Why would that be there? I don't think that was part of why I failed, but I don't love that it was there. Again, I did not have a lot of say for the... Jeff, we gotta get him on the show one of these days. I know this isn't really a show, and that this is just one commentary I'm doing one time. And I gotta be honest, I don't foresee a great deal of people asking that this ever be done again. Can't wait to see the click-through rate on the on the video.
Thanks. Sure. Absolutely.
Very modern art and furniture in everybody's office. What kind of company is this? It's called True North. They make bridges, I think. He's got a lot of pictures of bridges in his office.
What does that mean for us? My guess?
That's another thing I might have thought ahead of time. I usually try to catch Jeff on this, because he's like, oh, I don't know. work at a charity or like a homeless shelter or something. I'm like, no, Jeff, that's going to just make them, be more compassionate towards human beings all the more. So I try to send him to something like make him work in a whorehouse or in like a murder party for real, like people who play games of Mafia in real life. And I guess there's not a lot of those jobs, which means I'm slipping because I feel like there should be.
If all you do is drink coffee and flirt with her, can you blame her?
Yeah.
I'm not ready for
That guy is. Sometimes, I hate to say it, but sometimes Al wins me over.
office romances are. Here, take this to Viv, tell her it's perfect. And cheer up. By tomorrow, we'll all be riding high.
All right.
You'll all be riding high. And I wish right then and there he's like, hey, here, take this to help stay up late. And he slips him a little bag of Uncle Christian's nose candy. That's just what we call it in hell. I will not be having Uncle Christian on any commentaries, I can tell you that. He literally invented cocaine. He was a nut. He was a complete nut. And it's not one of those inventions where it's like, oh, we were trying to cure hernias, but we accidentally invented peanut butter cookies. No, this was like, I want to be crazy energetic and get addicted to a harmful thing that will make my nose bleed. And so he invented cocaine. And mission accomplished, to be fair. I mean, he won the accuracy prize at Cocaine Laboratories. It was named after the laboratory. Come to think of it, we should have gotten Uncle Christian to be the boss. I think he might have been better than Al. And I don't like working with him. But I think that kind of crazy presence in this guy's life, it might have shook him up. He's kind of in like a Stepford house. I love that movie. I love the 2004 remake the most. That's what Satan likes. The really good remake.
You want to see me, sir?
What's good about the newer Stepford Wives is that everybody absolutely understood the tone they were going for.
You have been.
Here's
a
where we
great
get
part
a
of the team.
promotion, right?
For someone who came here with no experience,
Here's where he gets a
it's
big
been a
promotion.
real pleasure watching you learn the
to
ropes.
head
and I think
stripper
you have
maker.
a great future ahead of you. I really mean that.
I
Thank
don't
you,
know a
sir.
lot about
I appreciate
jobs.
that.
That's why what I have to say
Oh,
is very
boy.
difficult. I just
Yeah,
found out
this is also.
they're transferring several
I don't know if there's any
accounts to
people in
West
upper
Coast.
management watching this
I
video,
have
but
no
the
choice but to
big spiel that sounds like you're about to give somebody promotion and then firing them is really not the play. It really just makes it so much worse. Anytime you get called in the boss's office, you're thinking, I don't know, I might be in trouble for something. So you're already going in there, even if you don't have any reason to think that anything bad's going to happen. You're like, oh, or maybe he's going to fire me. I don't know. So if you just leave with it, they'll be like, I knew it. I knew that was going to happen. But then if you're like, oh man, you're amazing and fantastic and I love you so much. Oh, by the way, get your butt on the street.
2 weeks.
Listen, if
This whole operation, I got to say, I think, once again, upper management, and that is me, yes, but also Jeff, who is just, he's a blood brother.
How could this
I
happen?
do have, to be fair,
What
about,
went wrong?
throughout all human history, about 4 billion blood brothers. But, I like Jeff. He's pretty good. I think he completely screwed the pooch on this. Not the way we like to do in hell. So much yelling. I think the yelling is to make it feel more like a real movie. Is what I'd be saying if this was a movie and not a documentary. Instead, I'm just going to say this guy has some real anger issues. It's almost like some witnesses have this like simmering rage all the time because they're very frustrated that they're living in constant self-denial and they're, kind of waiting to do a lot of their passions because of paradise and their main hope for the future is something incredibly violent and destructive. So it's, a lot of witnesses have anger issues. It's almost like that. But as I have unfortunately found, witnesses are to a T, incredibly kind, nice, smiling, and the smiles are very real. You can tell when you look at them that it's a good, real smile and there's light behind their eyes.
Really?
I'm sorry, bro. It's company policy.
Again, I thought there might be more pauses in between things I said. I thought I might retain some of what was said and what the plot of the story was. But I've had a lot to say. I'm glad I can finally get my voice out there. I tried to start a podcast. I tried to, well, I won't say what podcast it was. I don't want to, even Satan can get a little sad at YouTube comments sometimes. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings by saying their favorite podcast, and then I say Satan started it. Are they eating cereal? I know they're supposed to be nuts, but it just looked like a nice bowl of cereal in the middle of this bar. That's a good bar. The bar where you can get bowls of cereal, I'm sure that must exist somewhere, because that is the most hipsteriest millennial idea I've ever heard of. That's something that I've encountered a lot. My job these days, really mostly as a, kind of as like a consultant, a lot of it, because, you know, I'll think, oh, I have an idea for a really stupid, annoying thing that'll make the world worse. And then it'll turn out somebody already did it. I thought, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make like a sensor in the toilets so that you don't have to, seemingly you won't have to touch the handle to flush it and then get exposed to, toilet germs. But in actuality, what's going to happen is it's just going to flush like every 1.5 minutes, so that like while you're in the middle of taking a dump, it just like sloshes up on your butt. I thought, this is a great idea. I'm going to implement this in every bathroom in every restaurant in the world. But it turns out someone already did it, just of their own free will. A lot of my good ideas just, parallel thinking.
I had enough. I'm not driving. Fine.
Oh man.
That's
Drunk driving.
And you know it. Come on, give me my keys back. Look, maybe you don't know how to handle your liquor, but I do. You're starting to sound like my mother. Just get in the car.
I wish he'd back right up into that car. That'd be really funny. Hey, I like that. That's pretty good. Real life. Good job, real life documentary. We're actually having kind of a funny moment before what I can only assume is a terrible tragedy. I tune those out. Those make me sad. Because, I just wish God would do something about all that. Like, he could absolutely end it at any point in time, and he just kind of doesn't. Out of some weird anger he has at me. I can't end any of that stuff. So I just kind of do my thing. So I try to stay out of like car crashes and stuff. That'd make me real sad if I thought somebody died in a car crash. Unless it's that old guy and the kid and that guy's family from earlier. Then I'm like, oh yeah, big car crash for them. If it'll make a witness maybe leave, then I'm all over it. In general, though, I am averse to tragedy. Tragedy feels to me like God doing my job a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, my job's to torture people in hell for eternity. So when he does that on earth, it's kind of like, hey man, that's kind of supposed to be my thing. I know he put me in charge of the earth, but it still feels like, hey, I feel like I should be able to kind of run this realm if it really is mine the way I want to. Then he has this acts of God clause. But then, of course, on the record, it's not acts of God. Oh boy. He blames all the good ones on me. An actual, honest to God car chase in real life in a documentary. It's amazing. Last time this happened was the OJ trial, and it unfortunately was not as fast paced as this one. And I think both have aged about as well. Both documentaries. Oh, let's climb over the barbed wire fence. Let's do that. Oh no, this guy, he's like he wants to back into cars, to be honest with you. Nah, the bear. I don't remember this. I'll tell you why. Because I think I was in one of those barrels. And then he hit that. I get my flubber head knocked right out. That's the other thing about being a demon. You can get knocked out sometimes. You've probably seen this in movies. Like in The Conjuring when Patrick Wilson starts reading a Bible verse. Because of, or like holds a cross or something. That'll knock you out. Now, the reading of the Bible verse and stuff is just because we hate books so much. He could be reading, the latest John Grisham. He'd be like, no, don't read that terse, functional prose at us. That is still highly effective at generating suspense. That's what we would yell. But that cross, if we get bonked on the head with a cross, we're going to fall. If a ghost throws a ghost banana peel, we'll ghost slip on it. With our biblically accurate feet. They're not where you think they are. Wow. This is literally what happens, you know, when people leave. It's not always what happens. I do like it to happen. I think this is not good, though. I think this might be the hitch in my plan. I think the hitch in my plan is that I always do this thing. You know, we could shoot people up and spit them out in the sense of, okay, you're on your own now, pal. Go make your own life in my cool party that I call Earth. But instead what I usually do is I organize a devastating tragedy that causes the person to rethink their life choices. And that, I think, is one of those creative choices that you look back and you're like, why was I so attached to this idea? I fought for it so hard in the room, and now I look at it on the page and it's not as good. You know, I don't really know why I thought that was a good idea. I think from now on, when I get somebody out, I think I'm learning something. I think I'm just going to try and not make them run back to the only comfort they've ever experienced in their lives.
Security cameras corroborated your story.
Security cameras corroborated your story. That was very Canadian. That was like real, about 5 hours north of Toronto Canadian. Look at this. This is some real documentary here. People, when they're sad, they slump their shoulders, they put their hands in their pockets, and they do a big sigh. They loosen their tie like a classic bum in a 1960s movie, and they just wander. They wander the streets in their full suit. Oh, brother. This man literally has a phone. Now, maybe this is before every hipster cafe had a charging station in it, but these days, I think he would have a much harder time finding a payphone than he would a free phone charger.
Hey, Taylor?
So that's good. That's one of those, I like infrastructure. That's one of those infrastructure changes that I never get credit for. But look, it makes the world better. And now, playing the long game, we live in a world where this guy might have stayed out in my world a little bit longer because he could have found some weird, overpriced cafe where they have free phone chargers. Oh, man. She's so poor that she just has a washer and she has to use a fan to wash the clothes. Dry the clothes. I think they might be going for something here with the, worldly people live in small apartments. Witnesses live in very nice, gigantic houses.
True. What about you? What are you going?
You can see a radiator in a worldly house, but in a witness house, you can only see the fireplace that takes up the entire wall.
And other than that, I'm not sure.
You're a talented, honest, hardworking.
I feel like the worst part of this hiding place was that I couldn't go full paranormal because, yep, I'm in the wine bottle. And I'm in the wine, baby, but if I start drinking it, I got ahead of myself with that one. I thought, easy call. I'll be in the wine bottle, right? Then I'm thinking, well, if I start drinking it, then they're going to notice the liquid level go down, and then paranormal activity. Then that guy's screaming Jehovah, which, gives me a big old owie. Means I got to get out of there. That's one of those things I heard. It doesn't tickle. When people start screaming Jehovah in our presence, we don't like that. That's a big reason why it's pretty tough to get in the Kingdom Hall. It's not impossible to get in the Kingdom Hall. It's pretty tough, because you're basically hearing the word Jehovah every 0.5 seconds. Sometimes, during a real long, awkward silence where, the sound isn't working, and the guy's, frantically sweating, pushing every button, even though he doesn't actually know what he's doing. And it's just real old equipment. And there's absolutely no way for them to improve it because it takes forever to get anything done. During one of those silences, sometimes we'll sneak in there and we'll make, some old lady's cell phone go off. We will just sort of, annoy a baby until it starts crying real loud. It just emphasizing the silence. I might be wrong because I think her apartment's cute. I don't think they're trying to say it's bad.
I think they were just trying to make the party house look as worldly as possible.
It's working with you.
This is the kind of thing that people wear around the house. They wear their very nice sweaters, full makeup, hair perfectly curled. Just hanging out, just sitting around. In the middle of the night on a work day. Why does he have like black eyes and stuff? I guess because of the car crash? Did the car punch him in the face? I guess the airbags were shaped like fists.
Please don't go home tonight.
Oh no. So this I thought was going to be a big win because, like, you know, the beast with two backs. Which, wait till you meet the real beast with two backs. He's not as sexual as people have made him out to be. But yeah, they had sex. I thought, alright, this boy's finally done one cool thing in his entire life. He's going to feel great about himself. Everybody's first sexual experience is great because they feel confident that they know what happened. And that's just normal. So the fact that it was bad for him means that Jehovah's laws are true. I wish that it wasn't so hard to make, 30-year-old men's first sexual experiences less weird. But it's just going to be weird, man. This guy is probably a little toad to be having sex for the first time. Not too old to be having sex for the first time, but older than you'd think. He's not 40-year-old virgin. He might be like 28-year-old virgin. And it's just going to be weird. You're going to feel sad. You're going to cry in the rain under a bridge while completely unhoused. And they have like CGI breath using the technology developed by David Fincher. They've improved it since The Social Network. It looks a lot better in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Gone Girl. When's he going to release another movie? Oh, he did Mank. Well, that one didn't count because it wasn't very good. Now, here's my note to the documentary filmmakers. We don't necessarily need to see this guy cry uncut for like 3 straight minutes. Frankly, it is just never fun to see an adult man cry. It's not fun. I'm not saying it's anything to be ashamed of, but it's not something you want to linger on willingly for long periods of time. It's not fun to see anybody cry. But it's a little unsettling to see somebody crying under a bridge about having sex. I might have cut to the chase with that one and had him pray right away. Where is he sleeping? In a trash room. I think he's sleeping inside of a trash can.
Shocking. But was he a lost cause? Was he?
Oh yeah. This is where you go to feel good. You go to the very ill-lit, sterile building where tired old people read an old book to you. And that's where you go to feel good. When you feel bad, you go to this clinical, weird group where everyone sits with blank expressions on their faces, and you listen to weird doomsday messages, and then you realize, I should have had sex that one time. I should be celibate and live at home instead of on the street. I think that's probably, to be honest, that seems like the main motivator. I almost feel like the sexual experience had nothing to do with it. Almost to the point where I wonder why they did it, other than the fact that he had another contact at work. I guess the problem they probably ran into is like there are homeless shelters, there are places he could go to and say things like, hey, I can't go home because my parents don't like that I'm no longer active in their religion. People would say, that sounds like abuse. And you might get support from loving strangers who are concerned about your well-being. So they can't just have him not have a place to stay, because he might be able to realize the kindness of strangers who are my people. So instead, they dodge that by like, oh, also he has sex and feels bad about it. He has he has sex with a beautiful woman who is nice and feels terrible and goes back to the kingdom. That's how it goes. This man knew the woman as a friend for a long time, and they have good chemistry, and they slept together, and so obviously he felt terrible and had to go back to the kingdom. Oh man, he's in such disbelief, and he says it, and he... Sorry, sometimes if I talk for a real long time, it's a little hard to remember, like, oh, which way does my tongue have to stay in my mouth in order to talk like this? Oh, no. Let's get another take of that, maybe, where you're not making the, like, the face of a Tolkien character taking a dump. For the both of them, quite frankly, I wouldn't mind another take of the both of them. I think those close-ups is actually not... It's not like inspiring emotional crying. It's like, it's a little too real almost. Like, oh, because you know, like real people, when you're like actually crying, you look terrible. The grief just takes over your every facial muscle. But you can make fake movie crying kind of look, at least visually, not unappealing. I think these guys were just so happy. Yeah, see, I hate hearing this. Oh, he's so disappointed in himself. He should feel cool. He had a good job. Well, he did get fired, but it kind of wasn't his fault. And he had friends at work. And he dipped his wick in it. I mean, I think that man was not necessarily totally screwed. I think what happened was he didn't come across any like apostate stuff. Like he wasn't like, man, it's kind of messed up that my parents are disowning me because I want to hang out with my work friends instead of going to church. Maybe I should look into see if this is true before I come back. Instead, he's like, no, I know it's true. I just want to ignore it and work more and hang out with my friends. You know, it's almost like if he had encountered any kind of critical information that would have made him think for himself, that might have made him leave. I can't believe Jeff really did. This is a classic Jeff operation. I'm going to start reviewing these tapes. I wonder if Jeff was behind a lot of these, because I feel like, look at this guy, literally just in his car. He could be listening to sports radio or just like a nice song, just one of his favorite songs. Just reading the Bible, not even listening to the radio, not even listening to like a Kingdom song. Shoot, I would take a Kingdom song, to be honest with you. And what's great is going to a group of old men who are there explicitly to judge you and telling them very specifically about your first sexual experience days after it happened. That's what's good. Oh no, and they're singing Kingdom song. You know, it's not like they'd be singing the song they danced to at their wedding or their favorite song from when they were kids. That's not how people sing around the house. The way people sing around the house is by singing worship songs with brand new aprons that have never been used before.
Well, on the way home from service, we thought, why not have a meal for your brother and have a few friends over?
On the way home from service. You know, they couldn't even just be coming home from like the movies or the store. It's just like we were on our way home from doing a spiritual activity and we realized we had the opportunity to do more of that. So now we're singing Kingdom songs while preparing for the next spiritual activity. That's almost not good for your brain. Almost. You know, I'm not going to say that everything I do is good for your brain. But it's not all only bad. Oh, man. Here's what I got to say. All I wanted when I was a kid in heaven is a room in the house where it intersected with the roof so that, like, the ceiling to your room had that slant to it and you could have the bed, like, right in that corner. Oh man, I had a couple friends who had rooms like that. I just thought that was the coolest. I think Arnold's room in Hey Arnold was like that. Oh man, I loved that show. Satan the Devil, for in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, he was watching some Hey Arnold and really enjoying it.
I'm the one who remains faithful. I try and do everything right. No one's singing when I get home. No one's throwing me a party.
Oh, so what I've heard, like eighth hand, biblically accurate hands, is that like this is a parable about something Jesus said, which, be quite honest with you, went in one of my 9 ears and out the other. It went in 9 of my ears and out 10 of them. It left even more intensely than it went in. That's how hard it left my brain. Anything Jesus said shot that right out of my brain. I guess this is a parable for something he said. And I guess in part of the parable, the dad's like, oh, I love you too, son, because you were always good. I just, never had to miss you, so I kind of appreciated you less.
Spent all of his money doing who knows what, and you just let him back in.
He's shown repentance, and he's...
So strange. It's sort of like chastising witnesses to be like, hey, when someone's reinstated, be real nice to them. Don't be resentful in any way. And it's kind of hard, you'd think, for a witness to just go towards being accepting towards somebody they've been told to shun about a minute earlier. It's kind of quite a trick they're able to pull on people's brains. I think it's not good. I think that shunning is bad. And weirdly, that was one of the ideas that I had that ended up being taken by somebody. And it was God, of course.
Welcome him back.
I had an idea. I go to Jesus or God or whoever the hell was in charge that day.
I just don't feel that way.
I told them the idea, and they're like, oh yeah, well, we'll think about that idea. And then, second creative day, it's like, oh, we have waterfalls now. That was Joey's idea. I'm like, okay, Joey. And he's like, well, you kind of inspired me to the real idea. I was like, man, I pitched you waterfalls. I wanted water falling off of a cliff. A lot of my ideas involve things falling off cliffs. So it's mostly that and, river rapid rides at theme parks. And I guess real life. Oh boy. Yeah, that's right. He goes in the shed. He goes in the pristine shed again, I think, and has a little talk with his brother. I hate this house. I hate how nice it is. But it's not, like, well kept. It just looks like, well, we have this model home that's just sitting around at the Parade of Homes. They'll let us film in here for 3 days if we pay him $130,000.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay, well, I could get very used to this.
Well, his mom is nice again. So that's nice. It's nice to know that when you're disfellowship, it was all your fault. You were the person who did everyone harm. The parents are not in any way to blame. And it's normal that they were able to shun you and then accept you and act as if nothing weird happened. I think that's great. I think it's a good system. I mean, listen, I admit it when the truth has been found and witnesses have it. That is the way to do it. It's never been for me.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
This guy, I'll be quite honest with you, is a perfect example of why witnesses are their own worst enemy. Because I used to think, when I was trying to, for a little bit, I was trying to backdoor pitch some ideas to God on these dramas, just as a fan of film. Because some of these are fake. This one's a documentary, but some of them are fake. Hard to keep this up. Like Wife a Lot, that one's fake, right? So I tried to give him some notes. I was like, you know what? Maybe don't make the main character, who's like the good example, a complete wet blanket who's no fun. And who's judgmental and is always just complaining. And I gave this note a bunch of times through a shell company, and it just never seemed to stick. And I think the problem is, if you are a witness, and you're doing everything right, that is your default personality. You're kind of not allowed to be fun and accepting. Like, the way he's reacting is completely the way you're supposed to. If somebody's messing up, you're supposed to tell them. If somebody is no longer good association, you're supposed to cut them off. If somebody is not living up to God's example, you're supposed to point that out to them and correct them. So I think they're kind of trying to create a bunch of wet blankets who only have the, like, bare visual aesthetics of kindness by the fact that they smile a lot.
As the one that I used to look up to. As the one that taught.
Okay. Well, the crime, and once again, it's ugly, weird crime because it's a little too real. And, you know, kudos to these guys for being able to whip out the tears. Now, I think maybe they only had one take of David crying because they have not come back to him in a long time. I'm thinking they had one good take, and they are using all of it on the screen here. And by take, I mean what really happened in the documentary. Now, this guy doesn't look that different when he's crying than he does all the time. He's already almost crying. Like, his face is all scrunched up and pouty, and it looks like he's sad about something. So he kind of looks the same. The other guy, Stepford Man, Bethel Laboratories, just kind of constantly culty smile on his face. So when he cries, it's like, oh no, your face hasn't frowned in 3 years. You're going to hurt yourself. Now, I think he did. That didn't make it in the documentary. I think that's on the cutting room floor. But he strained several muscles just by crying, because he had allowed himself to show a real emotion. But it's complicated because even that real emotion was being manipulated by the cults. It was like a real emotion, but it was brought by false pretensions. So that's a real mind bender. And now he is just a guy who pioneers or something, I think. I don't think he has a job. Or he works for his dad or something. Works for his dad's business. Which must be some kind of illegal front for something, because there's no way he's just working from home making that kind of money.
For Friday.
Sure.
Oh, maybe he runs like a window washing company or something.
I'm going to need him a few days, so let's wait and see what the boys have scheduled.
And I think his one place that he washes is his house, because his windows are pristine, I must say. Everything's very clean in that house. It's almost like it's not really lived in.
Actually, I'm supposed to work out in service of Johnny this morning, so I'll ask him, and then I'll call Mel at lunch, and then I'll check to make sure the courts are open.
It's almost like everything was bought for the purposes of existing for these scenes, and then were forgotten.
And then planning to work the other days.
Perfect. How about you, James?
Well, if I go out on Monday...
I really get bad vibes from those chairs. I don't know what to tell you. They seem like Kingdom Hall chairs. There's something about those chairs that I will bet you anything. I will bet you anything. Those chairs came from the back school of Kingdom Hall. I don't think those are on the market. I think there is a weird factory that exists exclusively to make ugly chairs for Kingdom Halls, and those chairs came from that factory.
That's what everyone's been saying. I hope I can make it work.
I know you will. When you start pioneering.
Again, I do apologize if you were wanting me to, listen to things they say and then make jokes about it. No, this has just been me kind of stream of consciousness for a solid hour and a half. And I gotta think we're getting close to ending, because if we're not, I'm gonna lose my mind. Baker Family Construction. I wonder if they've ever actually worked in those clothes, because again, those seem like they are hot off the presses. The mom is wearing a dress underneath her button-down shirt, underneath her apron. Oh man, I hate this. This is so triggering. Because for him, hearing his son reading The Watchtower, it has just restored his happiness. His happiness was completely contingent upon his son being an indoctrinated member of his cult. And so for him, hearing his son repeat these weird, culty, religious, dogmatic statements is a source of comfort. And that's all he's ever wanted, and every witness who has a disfellowship kid's watching this, and they're like, oh man, that's my dream, to hear my kid reading the daily text again. And what a horrible thing to contemplate that is. That made me real sad right at the end. And I think that was their intention at a happy ending. I found that quite tragic. 2013... Oh boy, what was going on then? I think, well, shoot. Iron Man 3 came out that year. I think that's one of the few bright spots of that year. And I'll say it. Satan loves Iron Man 3. And he really loves the Mandarin. And also, I have permission to say from Alt-Worldly himself that he likes Iron Man 3 and the Mandarin as well. So, I think that was maybe the whole point of the thing that he was trying to say. The Iron Man 3 is underrated. Not perfect, but it's pretty good. And that the Mandarin twist is fun. And I did learn that I should probably make it my priority to make people think critically when they leave. Because it seems like his main problem was that he had pretty flimsy reasons for leaving. They seem honestly kind of ill-defined. Like he lacked being at work and having friends and being around women. I think that seems like a pretty flimsy reason to leave the religion, to be honest with you. It didn't seem like he had any concrete doubts. In fact, he only had sex after he had pretty formally left. So, I don't love it. I'll be honest with you. I think in the future, for any future Davids out there, I think I'm going to try and, try and make him go to website, YouTube, youtube.com, not / Alt-Worldly, because I don't think he's got that figured out, but if you, the Alt-Worldly channel, liking and subscribing to that. The Second School podcast with Jake Vaughn and Ben Ford, where they talk about their witness experiences. And this week's episode, I believe, has Ben talking about his Bethel experiences. And it's really interesting and insightful from what I've heard. I don't listen to Ben Ford. I find him to be just a little too mean, to be honest with you. Just kind of, I'm Satan. But we all have to have our standards of what's right and wrong. I think that man's just a little too mean. And also, check out Bad Take Jake. It's another channel that Jake started because he felt like, I don't really have enough on my plate. I think I also want to do more things that no one will watch. So, watch that too. And please let me know if this was as fruitful and engaging and enlightening as it seems to me in this moment, which seems quite high. And thanks. Bye.